Welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. We're here with Lenora Edwards. She is a board certified speech language pathologist and chief knowledge officer at Better Speech. She's an expert in the field of communication. With over 15 years of experience and certifications in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and holographic memory resolution, HMR, Lenora excels in enhancing workplace communication and mastering internal dialogue. Lenora guides adults in refining their communication skills to effectively manage both personal and professional interactions. Through tailored evidence-based techniques, she helps clients navigate their inner dialogue, enhancing clarity and confidence. This approach not only improves presentation skills and interpersonal relationships, but also drives success and fulfillment in all aspects of their lives. Welcome to the show, Lenora. We are so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to spend time with you, Samantha and Lauren. I am ecstatic to be here.
Awesome. Will you please tell us just a little bit more about how you're involved in the neurodivergent community?
Absolutely. So, as you so wonderfully mentioned, thank you for reading that. As a speech language pathologist, I have been a part of the neurodivergent community since long before I became a certified clinician. And one of the kids that I used to babysit for, she was neurodiverse. And it was really one of my first introductions into the world. And she was quite nonverbal. So, on Saturday mornings, I got to spend time with her while I was babysitting her and her siblings. But really, the speech language pathologist would come into the home and would teach us how to communicate more effectively, but also how to encourage her to communicate. And it really made a huge difference in her life and in the lives of those in her family, especially she had younger brothers at the time and they didn't really know what else to do other than what they were already doing. So it was great that somebody was there to educate everybody and to keep encouraging someone who was experiencing neurodivergency.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about what a speech language pathologist does? I know that when most people think of speech language pathologists, it's, well, you help people talk, like you help non-speaking people talk, you help people be more understood. So how do you do that? And what other things do you work on? Because I know there's other things that you work on.
There is definitely a lot that we
Yeah.
work on. So, as a speech language pathologist, I often tell people we work from the neck and up because we see individuals for things such as what we call swallowing difficulties or voice disorders. In another case, we also see individuals, yes, for the articulation and how clearly they're communicating. But we also work with people from the language standpoint. So, language is really two parts. Our ability to understand language is the receptive part. So, can we follow directions? Do we understand that you're asking a question and that we have to respond? And then everything that we're saying, especially in its grammatically correct structure, is the expressive part of language. And then as we get into the cognitive component, we're talking about sequencing and abstract reasoning and being able to effectively name things. And so we work with individuals all the way from the NICU, as in the neonatal intensive care unit, through the pediatric intensive care unit, through outpatient pediatrics, inpatient pediatrics, through adult intensive care units to adult outpatient and inpatient therapy, and then also geriatrics, as in individuals who are experiencing things like dementia or Alzheimer's, and even those who have experienced a traumatic brain injury. So we really work from the neck and up.
I love that. Can you talk more about simplifying language? Like what technique skills do you have for us to better communicate?
Absolutely. So, especially in the neurodiverse community, what we really look at is the individual. When we're effectively communicating with people, they're able to understand us and they're able to respond to us. So, when we're talking about simplifying language, it might be a lot for a little one to, let's say they're 4 years old and you're ready to get out the door and you're trying to get ready to go to school and you're like, hey, grab your coat, grab your hat, let's go. I got my keys in my hand, go find your shoes, and we need to get into the car. It's a lot coming at that individual, even though it might be something quite routine. So, what I often encourage parents to do, and this is such a wonderful thing, especially with Better Speech. So, with the company Better Speech, we provide online speech therapy services right from the comfort of your home because we are there through Zoom. And what I love about this is I'm able to walk my clients and their families through an effective routine when it comes to simplifying language. And what we will do is really help people come into the present moment. So, as busy adults, our mind is already 5 steps ahead, and we're all the way on full on caffeine thinking about our email list when our little one is really just trying to figure out where they put their shoes and how they go on effectively. As parents and guardians and caregivers, we want to come into the present moment and allow ourselves to focus on what they need. And this does seem a bit overwhelming, especially when you're thinking of all the things that you have to do. But when you can come into the present moment and simplify your language and help them through the process, we build that routine and we build that structure so much faster because now they can anticipate it. Now they know it's coming. That being said, in the moment to say, okay, I gave myself plenty of extra time this morning. So I can be here with you. Let's find our shoes. Our shoes go on our feet. And that way, as you're helping them understand, we're going to go to the closet, we're going to get out our shoes. You're in the moment of understanding feet, shoes, putting them on. We need shoes to go outside so that we can walk around. Then you go to the next thing. Okay, we're at the closet. Now we need our hat and our scarf and our coat because we want to stay warm when we go outside. And what you're doing is, as you're doing the process, you're also letting them understand how I put it on. This is how I put my arm through the sleeve and going step by step. And it might seem painstakingly slow for you until you build that routine in. That's the best way to really simplify language is to be present and to be patient and to notice what they're doing and how you can support them. And a lot of the time, especially as an adult, you want them to effectively pick these skills up. As the adult, you got to sit on your hands and you got to wait with them till they get the process. Ultimately, that's going to serve them the best to be able to understand what they're doing and what you need them to do, because now you've given them the time and the space to learn and to grow.
Yeah, I love that you said give them time because I think that's where a lot of parents, like, I know I don't get stressed unless we're like ready. We need to run out the door right then. And they're not getting their shoes on. And I'm like, get your shoes on, get your shoes on. And then I keep saying it, which makes it even worse. Like, that's probably the worst thing you could do. Like, just keep repeating it. So, how much time, like, between prompting would you recommend? Or do you just do it with them? Or do you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Absolutely. And it really depends on the individual. There are times where I will wait 10, 15 seconds. And then there's other times where I will, before I give that verbal cue, okay, we're going to put our shoes on. Shoes, let's put them on our feet and helping them understand what it is. Now they're pretty much in the routine of being able to understand their shoes. We need to have their attention come in. So I might need to sit there and simply keep looking at the shoes and looking at the feet. They might be looking at a toy and I'm like, nope, we're over here at the shoes. I'm going to wait 7, 8, 9, 10, waiting for them to get it together to understand that we're on shoes. We're not on toys. We're on shoes. Especially as the clinician. And as a clinician, we're teaching parents and guardians what to do, how to give them that structure. Because if we're going over here and we're going, no, not the toy, and we're pushing it away and we're drawing our attention to that, they're going to feed off of it. And we want to be able to bring them back to the present moment. Nope, shoes. And you keep looking at it and you wait and you're giving your attention to the task that you want them to do. And this is really going to push a lot of people, especially if you're in a morning routine. And now your morning routine is completely different because you're helping your child get out the door. Now that we're working toward independent skills, I'm no longer taking care of it for them. I need to sit on my hands. This is going to stress you because your brain is going, I need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And when you can say, okay, I'm going to give us the permission to sit here and focus on this task. This is what we refer to as emotional state control. because you're going to stress yourself thinking if your brain is especially on hyper caffeinated mode, it's going to tax you. And you really need to say, okay, you know what? Nothing else matters other than the next 15 minutes is getting our shoes on. This is the only thing that we're going to work on. And until that's mastered, then we can move on to the next thing. Then we can move on to the next thing. And your state control your emotional state control as the parent, as the guardian is so important because as you start to escalate, your child or the little one that you're taking care of is going to rise with you. So the stronger, the more stable, the more grounded, the more consistent in your energy and your emotional state that you can stay. Stay calm. Yep. They might be driving me bananas, but I am going to stay calm. The longer you can hold your emotional state, they will feed off of that. If you escalate, they will feed off of that too. And that's really the key is being able to be present, give yourself permission, and keep the task of what you're wanting to accomplish at the forefront.
Yeah, so it is so important to stay calm because I know, like, when I'm with my kids, if they're escalated and I escalate and they escalate and I escalate, and just like we've said that before on this podcast, like you just keep going until you're both yelling at each other, and that doesn't accomplish anything. And the shoes are still not on the feet. So,
Completely.
yeah. What can parents do to stay calm? Like, do you have any recommendations? Like, if especially for parents who are neurodivergent, I know for me, like, I have ADHD and I cannot just sit there and be like, "Okay, you need to do this. You need to do this." Like, it drives me crazy and I can't function. Like,
Hmm.
I just rage. Just see
Yeah,
rage because I'm not a patient
abs-
person.
absolutely. And really, if you think of it as the art of working towards something, or it's a practice. We brush our teeth every day. It's a daily practice. We change our clothes every day. It's a daily practice. If we look at the art of communication as a daily practice, this can be included in that, especially because I take this under the umbrella of self care. And the media could make you think of self care as like, oh, a bubble bath and a candle and a magazine, and you are good to go. This is really true self-care is giving yourself the permission that says, okay, I know my brain really likes to look at 15,000 different things at once. This is the most important. And even for me, I'm going to practice the art of taking care of myself. I'm going to practice the art of doing my best to focus on this one task and remain calm. And what I often encourage people to do, and it might seem strange at first, but it really is helpful. I allow myself the permission to be here, to be present, and to focus on this. And that can be said for whatever it is. You can
Mhm.
focus on your meal. You can focus on sending your email if that's what you need to do. You can focus on reading a book. When you literally say, I give myself permission to do this, I allow myself the permission to be here. You're hitting pause on everything else, and your brain is going, oh, we can do that. Wow. And it's quite literally surprised because we are taught quite often you should be doing 45 different things. You should be going 55 miles per hour and you should be doing 40 hours of work in a 24-hour day. And when we
Yes.
can really come in and practice the art of being present, practice the art of saying, okay, I'm going to focus now, we allow ourselves to build that skill. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's like what I've heard before for people with anxiety, like they have 10 minutes a day where they get to worry about something, and then the rest of the time they'll be like, "I will worry about that when it's my worry time," or "I will do that when it's this time." And so I love that you talked about that, like just giving yourself permission to be in the moment.
Definitely. Giving yourselves permission is super powerful. I love that. I'm going to worry about this for 10 minutes out of my day. It's almost like putting it on the shelf or putting it in a bank. I think that's awesome. That is a great idea, especially if I read this in a book and I believe it was by a person by the name of Don DePani. And he references it as using a flashlight. When you want to focus on something, you are focusing with your flashlight. A lot of the time, we might be focusing on something, but we're swinging our flashlight all over and we're like, hey, let's focus on this and this and this and this. When we allow ourselves to say, I'm just going to do this. And even blocking time can be very helpful because we often think like, oh, this task is going to take me 10 hours. I need to procrastinate it for a period of time. When really the task might take us 15 minutes, but we've been overthinking it. When we block ourselves time and say, okay, we're going to practice putting on our shoes for the next 15 minutes. I have a timer set. At the end of 15 minutes, the next step will occur. But you gave yourself 15 minutes. You practiced it. You allowed the time to be there. You allowed yourself to be present and you allowed your child to do their best to learn a skill. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time in the world. Some people do have to navigate to places, but it's very effective when we give those quantifiers of time and those qualifiers that say, I'm allowing myself to do this in this amount of time. And then I will proceed to the next step.
Yes, that's so important. Can you talk a little bit about how visual schedules can help with this? So, if we have a morning routine and our kid struggles with staying in the morning routine because neurodivergent people are found that they can't establish habits. And so, if they have the visual schedule, how does that help them?
Visuals are great. I love visuals, and especially for routines. And to say, especially if you hear something that says, my kid is just, they can't establish a routine. Even in that wording, allowing yourself to say, we are working toward establishing a routine that works for us. First, I can't do this. We can say, I'm working toward that. So even in that language, we're also teaching our child, we're working toward improving our routine. This is our morning routine. Visuals are a wonderful thing, whether the visual is in words or in pictures or both. That's a great thing because then we get to get up and we say, okay, here's what we do first. So now we have a number. First thing that we do is go to the bathroom. Now we have a picture of the bathroom, and it could be your actual bathroom. It doesn't have to be, a picture of a sink and a toilet or anything like that. It could be an actual physical picture of yours. And then we have the word bathroom. Do that immediately. And then as you're doing it, we're doing our first step in the routine. We're going to the bathroom. Yay, we did our first step. And the more you can make it fun and engaging, the more you can make it fun and engaging for yourself too. And that's a great thing because learning is happening. Then we go to the second step. Keep it in a space that you're going to be consistently navigating back and forth. For example, if your child wakes up in their bedroom and now we're going to go to the bathroom, we're going to go to the closest bathroom, the one that we want them to get used to being in. We're not going downstairs. We're not going upstairs. We're not going to this one. We're not going to that one. We're going to the one that's a part of the routine. That way it's predictable to them, even after. I'm so glad we did that first step. We went to the bathroom. Great. Let's go to the next step. The next step is our dresser. And even take that if the visual is portable, you're showing them the number two, you're showing them the word dresser or clothes, you're showing them their dresser or clothes, and you're helping them understand this is the next piece. Then, as you go through your routine, you can even do things along the lines of when you're in the car. Wow, we did our routine. First, we did this. Next, we did this. Third, we did this. And when you give it a beat, that's even better because now you're building it into a song. It's going to build that melodic memory for them. And not only that, we broke it down step by step. So we kept our language simple. Then we actively talked about it as we were doing it. Then we talked about it afterwards. So they're getting the pre, they're getting the during, they're getting the after, and we're keeping that same consistent language. And for bonuses, you can build it into a music component. And that can be really, really helpful. I'm so glad we're getting so much better at our routine. And even as you're going to sleep, we did this routine. And tomorrow we're going to wake up and we're going to do our first, second, and third step. I look forward to it. All right, let's go to bed. We're going to get really excited for it when we wake up and we're ready for it. You can do things like that. And it doesn't have to be this. You have to sit down at the table and we have to drill for speech therapy for 30 minutes and this very structured thing. Constantly communicating. Opportunities are all around us.
I love it. And especially that you mentioned music. Obviously, I'm all about that. I have actually made songs for kids for their routines, like washing your hands, brushing your teeth, and actually like
Perfect.
moving from each routine. And then, yeah, I've just done different things like that for kids
It's
in
so
music
helpful,
therapy.
right?
And it's so helpful for them because they can
Yeah.
sing the song, and like we've said before, music accesses parts of the brain that can't be accessed by other things, and they
Yeah.
access them together. So more of your brain is lighting up so you can remember to do that activity. Oh, I
Very
love
much
that
so.
you mentioned that. Thank you so much.
They
Well, thank you for all that you shared with us. Do you have any resources that you recommend for parents?
Absolutely. And especially on our website, we have tons of blogs and tons of podcasts. And this podcast will absolutely be posted on our website also. And the best thing that I personally think is to allow yourself to be curious, especially for parents who are learning that their child is neurodiverse or have now understood that their child's been neurodiverse for a year or two. Keep letting yourself be curious. What else might help them? And this is where we get into the play of language. What else might I be able to support my child in? Or what else might I learn if I go on YouTube? Rather than thinking, I have to know it all, or oh my God, I'm not helping my child at all because I don't know anything. Again, that language can be very, very defeating. We want to encourage people. We want to lift them up. And our language does encourage people and it does lift us up when we know how we're using our language. So when we add words like, what might I be able to do? How might else they learn a routine? We're allowing our thinking from going very strict to very, very open and being very curious. And when we get curious, magic happens. And then we get to come up with creative songs like washing our hands, or as we transition from one activity to the other. There's so many amazing resources out there. And yes, Better Speech is one of them, especially with all that you share on your website. Another fantastic resource. I often refer to YouTube University, which is really YouTube. And people are putting their thoughts out there and in conversations of, this is what helped me. This is what I thought was effective. And notice the difference. This is what helped me versus this didn't do anything. This was a waste of my time. Be careful in the groups that you explore. Be careful in the websites that you explore. You want those websites to be supportive and encouraging because it's going to build that curiosity and it's going to build that expansiveness of how you can best help your loved one.
Awesome. And I love that you said get curious because I know for some of the kids that I work with, like something doesn't go, they're very rigid thinkers. So something doesn't go the way they think it should go. And we can teach them how to be curious too. Like, well, what might we do now? What might happen now? What can we do instead of what you thought was going to happen? What can happen now? And just helping them get curious about those different things instead of feeling like a failure. I know my son goes to occupational therapy and they were working on drawing something and he thought that he messed up and he's like, "Oh, I have to restart. I have to redo it all over again." And the OT said, "No, like let's just keep going. It's okay. Like so you made a mark on the page that you didn't mean to. What can we make out of that now?" And I think they made like a flower or something out of the mark that he made on the page. And so just getting curious when you think that you're a failure, I know that helps my son a lot. Like we're really trying to work on that, expanding the rigidity in his thinking and being more flexible and like, okay, what can we do now? Instead of being like, I'm just a failure or this isn't working. So I love that you said be curious because we can be an example for our kids or
Very much so.
whoever we're working with or caring for or whatever.
Very much so. Was it Bob Ross when he would do something painting, he would call them happy accidents?
Yeah, yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Oh, it's a happy moment. It's a surprise. I don't know what's going to come from it. What else can it be? What might we create? It's a great thing. And it really comes back to our own language, especially if we have those deeply feeling kids where those emotional spikes are very, very frequent. They're feeling something. And to be able to help them, it really comes down to your tone and your energy of how you're helping them. If they have this great emotional extreme and you follow suit, You are going to get into that battle of emotion, emotion, emotion. Who's going higher? Who's getting more activated? When we can come down, and even if they're having a meltdown, I know it's tough right now. Yeah, I can understand that. You know what? We'll wait until you're ready, and you let them even out on their own. Okay, so what cool thing might be we be able to do rather than start at beginning? That's no fun. What can we make next? And allow that energy to come through with your own curiosity and your own creativity. And you're going to build that into them. And that is a great gift.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Where can people find you online?
Best place to reach us is betterspeech.com.
Awesome. And our last question is, what do you do for fun?
Oh gosh, I do lots of things for fun.
Oh, I
Oh,
love that.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't narrow that field down.
Yeah. So many people are like, I don't know what I do for fun. And I'm like, well, pick something, but they'll say you have lots of things. That's
Lots of
so
things. Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think the world is a smorgasbord. What do you want to try? Where are you at? What are you in the mood for?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate your time and everything all the things that you said today. Like, they were such great suggestions. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure spending time with you, both you and both Samantha and Lauren. I almost said
Yeah.
both of you. Bleh.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure spending time with both you, Samantha and Lauren.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, Lauren, what were the highlights?
Uh, so many things. I kind of it was kind of educational for me of like what a speech pathologist like does because like I think I just had my own and I've been to a couple like with kiddos. And so like there's a lot like she said like the neck up like there's a lot. So that was just interesting like for me. Um I really when talking about simplifying language, um I like being specific and stuff like but I like that she added like being specific one step at a time, but also saying the why. So, like, we need to put our shoes on because we need shoes on so when we go outside. Like, I mean, we talked about this before. Like, when we give the why, we're gonna get more buy-in, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I like that. Like, I never put the two together. I guess I don't know. So I appreciated that, and then being in the moment, present. I talk about a lot about that in my training, like being mindful, being in the here and now so that they have your undivided attention, you're paying attention, you can see, what's going on, where the struggles are. Um, but it's way easier said than done, right? Because life's super complex and complicated and it's hard to just like zone in, right? But I think it is really important to get into that state of mindfulness, especially if you are, working with a child that is neurodiverse and or teaching a new skill or trying to build a routine. You can't be distracted. You can't be distracted. You're not going to be helpful. And then to jump on with what you guys were saying, we've had a couple people say, as advice, get curious, learn more. Um, and the tack on with what you were saying of when we get curious, it teaches the kids to get curious. And that's just like another reminder of like how we respond to things are going to teach our kids how they're going to respond to things. And so when we can set that good example, they're going to see it, whether it's how to self regulate, get curious, problem solve, like the parents or the modeler or the caregiver, whoever. And I think that's just another important reminder that one, kids are always watching. And when you can display those things, it'll help them to do it a little bit more easier. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are my biggest takeaways. I'm sure there were more, but I can't read my notes per usual.
No, I agree with everything you said. Like that, I love how she talked about simplifying language because so often I think, and I do this too, that we just talk so quickly and we talk so much trying to get our kids' attention that they have no idea what we're even saying.
Yeah, and
So they
then
can't, yeah,
I was just gonna say, and then allowing that processing time as well, like not over cueing and nagging, um, is really, really important. So giving them that space to process and then
yes.
respond, um, I think is really great.
Yeah, just giving them time to process so that they know what you're saying, understand what you're saying, and then can do what you're asking them to do. So, yes.
I think,
But
and then one last tip. I was
yeah,
trying to remember what it was, and I finally remembered. I really appreciate it because I didn't really think about it when she said when you're like trying to get them to do a task, like we're putting on the shoes and we're looking at the shoes, and I'm focused on the shoes, and when they're like distracted by the toy, that we don't go over there and like put that focus on the toy, even though we're trying to put it away or whatever. And so I I thought that was a fun little tip that I've never really thought about is to maintain our focus on what we want them to do and like not what they're doing to, avoid it or like what they're getting into. Like we're doing the shoes. I'm looking at the shoes. Have the shoes. I'm focused on the shoes. Um, I thought that was a fun little tip
yeah,
versus bringing attention to the stuff that they shouldn't be doing by like going over there or pointing it out or whatever. So I thought that was a great tip.
yeah. Because, like we've said before, if a kid doesn't hear no or don't, they just hear. So, if you say, don't play with that, get your shoes on, they're going to hear play with that. And then they're gonna hear "Get your shoes on," but they're gonna hear "Play with that" first, and so then they're gonna keep playing with whatever they're playing with, and they're not gonna get their shoes on. And I am so guilty of this. I will tell my kids, "Get your shoes on," and then I will just walk away and go do my own thing and keep getting ready for the day or whatever, and then they won't get their shoes on, and I'll come back out. I'm like, "What are you doing? Get your shoes on." And then they won't get their shoes on, and I'll go away and, like, keep getting dressed, and so if I would just stay in the room for, like, 5 seconds, they would probably get their shoes on because 'cause I'd probably just, like, sit there and stare at the shoes and then, cue them, like she said, every, like, 10 to 15
Mhm.
seconds, and yes, anyway.
And I think also taking one step forward and even being more simplistic instead of just put your shoes on, put your shoes on your feet.
Yes.
I don't know why this I was just like,
Yeah.
add feet, put your shoes on your feet.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Uh,
oh my gosh, yes, all of that. So, thank you all for listening this week. We truly appreciate everyone listening, and leave us a review that helps people find the show. And we are so grateful for all of you listeners. And if there's anything you want to hear, if you want us to do an episode about something, or if you have questions, you can just direct message us on Instagram, where every brain is different. You can send us an email, Samantha at boycemusictherapycompany.com. And yeah, just let us know. What do you want to hear? Have a good week.